Viewer discretion is advised.
Terrorism is a horrible thing, isn't it? We look at it all the time in the news. Some of us have experienced it firsthand. Personally, I've experienced it secondhand. I've had a whole bunch of friends over the time that have either been affected by terrorism or, in some cases, were the victims firsthand. Sometimes we just can't stay back anymore. Sometimes we actually have to talk about it. That is what this franchise, this new franchise of sorts, is intended to become. Ladies and gentlemen, people, welcome to Decimation of Local Terrorism. Decimation of Local Terrorism is a series of audio logs where the people of Royameadow and Co, myself included, will talk about matters that are going on in our local area concerning the topic on terrorism, respectively. Each topic will have its own season. Basically, everybody will have their own respective audio logs. Sometimes some extra people will come in for collaborations. Even I might show up in more than one single episode. And every now and then, you get to hear different sides of the story. You get to hear full portions of the story. Heck, in some cases, we'll even have pretty much a closing once we are pretty much done with that season in order to wrap things up, review what we've talked about, and see if things have changed ever since that event happened. Season 1 of Decimation of Local Terrorism respectively talks about the Boston Marathon 2013 bombing, starring Dzhokhar Tsarnaev as Dzhokhar Tsarnaev. You will understand why I pronounced his name that way when you listen to episode 1, which is downloadable in the description below, via a Mediafire link, that is. In episode 1, I will basically be talking about the case itself, regarding when the bombing happened, the conspiracy theories, some of the victims, the history of Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, the trial, and of course, the verdict in which he was chosen by the jury to be sentenced to death. Now, episode 1 does have probably a few inaccuracies, more or less because it was recorded on May 16 of 2015, rather than being recorded yesterday, June 24, when Dzhokhar Tsarnaev was formally sentenced to death. So, of course, you might wonder, will I ever do a follow-up to episode 1? Trust me, if I am to talk about anything regarding the actual sentence, I will talk about it in episode 3. That is where things really start to pick up when it comes to this case. Certain things that I do leave out, though, in episode 1, which I will again say that I will describe them more in depth during episode 3, is, for example, some of Dzhokhar's friends, including Diaz Gardabayev, Hazamat Tazayakov, Roger Philippos, even his sister Tsarnaeva. They're not really talked about much in episode 1, and I don't think I ever actually bring them up at all. But this is primarily because their portion of the case is slightly to majorly different in comparison to what Dzhokhar had to go through. And that's why I'm saving them for episode 3, because they were basically the main portion of why the manhunt was as major as it was. That's a completely different portion of the story that I do not want to touch on episode 1. Another major thing that I really don't talk about are the victims, like the semi-major victims such as Dick Donahue and a few others here and there. They end up getting talked about in episode 2, where I pretty much talk about what happened to the victims, well, the 260 plus victims, that is, as well as how they progressed and where they are now, how they were able to heal up, what foundations they now have, you name it. It'll probably be a shorter audio log because obviously I can't get every single foundation on a list and then read them out because there's so many. But that, again, is another story for episode 2. Back to episode 1. If you would like to download episode 1 or have a listen to it via Mediafire, if I have not stated it already, because I'm apparently recording this in segments and I apparently can't backtrack to what I thought I was saying before, you can check the audio link down in the description. You could play it from the Mediafire link, or you could download it and, give a listen. As stated before, there is an extra 20 minutes of about nullified audio, so after my voice stops talking, don't worry, those extra 20 minutes have nothing on them. There's also a lot of stuttering too, because I've said it before. There is just so much to talk about when it comes to this particular case. There's usually a lot to talk about in any case, really. And that can be a fatal flaw when making a commentary of this magnitude. If you do not play your cards right, chances are you could mess up the commentary somewhere along the way, and you can make it a bit hard on yourself in order to get certain details in order to make sure that your accuracy is perfect. Then again, that's what follow-ups and re-recordings are for. As for this lovely wallpaper... Actually, wait, why am I saying lovely? It's decent. It's a decent wallpaper. You can get this via the DeviantArt page on our main profile. I do feel that it could have some improvements. I feel that Dzhokhar's eyes in the background could be a little more fine-toned, but that can be dealt with at a better time. Doesn't have to necessarily be now. Each episode will also have its own respective wallpaper. So, if you're not really a fan of having the same wallpaper for each and every single audio log in a compilation, then, this is the place for you. This is the place where you can really get some kind of, how might I say, variety. After all, this is a variety group. I think the lack of variety would make it not a variety group after all. Now, would it? Other than that, I've pretty much got nothing else more to say. Wishfully you do enjoy this series. Wishfully you stick around for the long run. Because this will not be the first time that I will be talking about this case. In fact, this isn't the first time I've talked about the case on the channel. There are also a few other cases that I'll probably be talking about here and there, but those will come up at a later time, in a different season. Until we meet again, though, enjoy what I have to offer. It's for your own listening ears. Until then, good day, night, afternoon, dusk, dawn. Whatever time it is that you're listening to this audio log. Until next time, Roya out.